Hey guys, how's everybody today? It's Tuesday, although it kind of feels like Monday because yesterday was the holidays. So I hope y'all had a great holiday weekend. For those of you who were off for President's Day, I was, and I got some good time with my daughter because she was off school. Okay, let's get to what we want to talk about today, which is probably my favorite topic to train on and my favorite topic to talk about. I could geek out on this and literally talk your ear off about it for hours. I will spare you that much. But what we're talking about today is how your thoughts sabotage your sound. So, how the mind body connection in singing really works so that we get our bodies to work for us instead of against us for a great sound. Now, here's what I'm first going to say. If you're watching this in the chat, I wonder how many times you've had this situation. Tell me in the chat if you're watching live, or if you're watching in the replay, I'll still respond to you. How many of you, when you're singing, have this situation happen? You make a fantastic sound, and it's like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? This is incredible. Everything just feels like it hooks in just like perfectly and beautifully. You're thrilled. And then the next day, you don't feel like you're doing anything different. And it's not as good. It doesn't hook in. It's not what you want. And you literally have no idea. You have no reason why. Your technique is the same. You're not sick in any different way. And you can't figure out why it's happening. Where's the inconsistency? Okay. And the thing that I want to tell you is odds are 99.9% certain that the thoughts, the energy, the emotional home, and the psychology that you were living in the first day was not the same when you sang the second day. And you're probably not present to it. And it doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Like the first, when you sang and it was great, it was because your boyfriend told you that he loves you. And the second day you broke up. Like, not talking about anything dramatic like that. But what I'm talking about is there are thoughts going on that you are not present to that are affecting your body's ability to make the most beautiful, efficient, free, powerful sound. So here's how this works. Your body is always responding to your mind. It's always responding to the signals that your brain is giving it. All day, every day. Signals that you are present to, that you are conscious of, signals that you are not. Your brain is telling your body you're cold, you feel cold, you put a sweater on, you're responding to that. Right? Your body is telling you, oh, there's a lion chasing me, I better run. And now all the adrenaline gets released, and now your body responds to that, and you kick into motion. Yeah. So this is just part of being human. Your body is responding to your mind all day, every day, whether you realize it or not. And here's where this gets tricky. If you are just somebody who is, Joe Schmo doing a data processing job or something, sitting at a computer, whatever, digging ditches or something, what your brain tells your body and how it responds to it is not going to prevent you from doing your job. But for a singer whose body is her instrument, it can have a dramatic effect on your body's ability to do its job because we embody our thoughts and our feelings as humans. It's just what we do all day, every day. And if you have thoughts going on in your mind that are telling you that you should be scared because the high note's coming up and you don't know if you're going to make it. If you have thoughts that are telling you it's impossible to make it as a singer, nobody ever does. It's like a shot in the dark, right? Like, were you told that? Are those thoughts roaming around in your subconscious without you being present to it? If you have thoughts telling you that you are not good enough, not pretty enough, not tall enough, not whatever enough, how do you think your body responds? It responds by contracting. It responds, don't look at me. Or it responds the opposite. I got to prove that I'm good enough. These thoughts that we have live in our body and affect what our body does on the daily and every time you go to sing. And so if you are not present to the mind-body connection and how you're and what you are thinking and how you are thinking, and understanding, gaining awareness around these thoughts, then all of a sudden this mind-body connection gets broken, because it becomes all mind and body just becomes a slave to what's going on up there that isn't serving what you want in your body. I mean, think about it this way. If you're scared of something, you have a physical reaction to that. You will go into fight or flight. It's just part of being human. It's natural. It's what we do. But if you have not dealt with the things that are making you scared around your singing, like, what if I put all this time and this energy and this money into this dream and this passion that I have and I don't succeed? I'm going to be the old lady at home with my cats. I'm not going to be able to make any money. I'm going to be in a day job that I hate. Fear, fear, fear. The dominoes that fall because of that fear. You don't want to end up failing at the thing that you love. So you're in your physical fear reaction. You're going to fight or you're going to flee because you don't want to fail. And so you're just going to abandon ship. It's like we all go into one of those two reactions in our physical body. Like, you ever notice, like, when you go to perform, if it's like a high stakes performance, it really counts. Maybe it's a big audition or a big showcase or something that really counts to you. You notice the physical response to that. Your heart rate goes up. Your palms maybe get sweaty. Your breath gets high. How are you going to sing with a high heart rate and high breath gets sweaty, right? It's because the fear is running the show. It's because the stinking thinking is causing conditions in your body that are not conducive to you being able to make the most efficient sound, use the technique and be able to share that energy unimpeded with your audience to make the biggest impact on your audience or your auditioners or whoever's listening, so that you succeed, so that you don't fail and end up, what you're worried about, which is being, the person with 12 different day jobs who failed at her dream instead of being that person on stage, right? So understanding, like really getting that what you think matters. How you talk to yourself matters. Not being on autopilot, just in the spin of your mind, but being able to understand and witness what's going on up there matters, so that your body responds to your mind in a way that is conducive and works for your singing rather than against you. So this is one of the things that we're going to be coaching all about in our upcoming workshop. I think most of you probably know about it. If you don't and you're watching this and you're like, what free workshop? Next Monday, we start on the 26th. And there's a link in the post copy if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you comment, if you're watching this on Facebook and you haven't registered yet and you want to come on Facebook or Instagram, comment workshop right now, and we'll send you the link to register. Point being, we're going to be coaching a ton on this in the workshop, because until and unless you understand and become aware of what are the things that are going on in your mind, what are the stories that I've been attaching to that don't serve me, what are the limiting beliefs, what are those old conditioned things, like a lot of this stuff, guys, are not even beliefs and stories and that you have chosen. A lot of it were given to you by maybe old teachers, maybe your family, your parents, society, maybe your religion. I don't know. It comes from a million different places. Half of them you didn't even choose, but they're running the show. And you wonder why you keep understanding the same technique at a certain level and you get it intellectually, but when you go to sing, it doesn't live in your body in the same way. You wonder why you're not making decisions that serve the journey that you're really on with your singing. I can't tell you how many singers tell me that, like, this is their purpose on this planet. This is their dream. This is what they were put here to do. And yet they're completely on the bench. They haven't gotten any training. They haven't put themselves out there for any experience. They're not auditioning. They're not recording. They're not taking any steps to get where they want to go. Stinking thinking. Because they got one foot in two canoes. They got one foot in the canoe that's like, this is my talent, this is my passion, this is my purpose, this is what I'm put here to do. And then they got this. The dogs are agreeing with me. Hey, come on, guys. And then they got their other foot in this other canoe that's like, all the limiting beliefs, all the things that they were told. I'm not good enough. Who would ever want to listen to me? It's impossible to make it. I'm too fat. I'm not, my voice is weird. It's impossible. I've never been able to do this right. My old voice teacher told me that I wasn't good enough. Whatever it is, all of the fear, all the stinking thinking is now in this canoe. And if you think about a person who's standing and has one foot in one canoe and one foot in another canoe, can either canoe go anywhere? No. So it even stops them from taking powerful, inspired action to get what they need to get off the bench, whether it's training, whether it's experience, whether it's auditions, whether it's investing time, money, energy to do these things, right? It stops you. It is the biggest dream stealer, voice stealer, because not only are you now sabotaging your physical instrument energetically by going into the holding and the controlling and the fear reaction that we talked about before when you sing, but your fear reaction is preventing you from doing the things that you would need to do and acting on your own behalf in ways that would solve those problems. Getting the training, going to the audition, networking with the people that you need to network with, whatever it may be, okay? So your thoughts not only sabotage your sound, but they sabotage the trajectory of everything that you want to do. And so here's what I can tell you. I have never met a single singer whose success on stage was bigger than their ability to get out of their own way, right? Because I can give you the best technique in the world. And trust me, guys, like we work our singers hardcore in technique. And we're also going to be doing a lot of technique coming up in our Vocal Powerhouse Accelerator workshop I was just talking about. So we're going to do technique, but I can give you the best technique in the world. And it will not matter if your brain is sabotaging your body from using it. Because your body can only do what your brain is allowing. Another way of saying that is your body cannot do what your brain is sabotaging. And any athlete will tell you that, right? Which is why athletes, and by the way, as a singer, you are an athlete. You are no different. You are training your body to do the same thing over and over again for a desired outcome. It's no different than Tom Brady, the quarterback, practicing his throw and dialing in his arm and getting the mechanics of that so that when he gets in the game, he's in flow. And it's like a work of art. Same thing for you. You are an athlete training your body to do the same thing over and over again for a desired outcome. So when you get in that performance, you are in flow and your body does what you need it to do. But any athlete will tell you that your body can't do what your brain is sabotaging. And athletes are trained that way, which is why you hear all the time, get your head in the game, right? It's why Olympians and Pro Bowl players and everything, they have performance coaches whose job is to get them in the zone. It's why the best coaches in the world athletically are not just coaching skill set, they're coaching mindset too. And that's what I want to give to you guys. That's what I do give to the singers who work with us, because skill set in the absence of mindset is useless, because the only thing that's going to sabotage that skill set is that mindset if it's not dialed in. So a lot of the tools that we're going to be training on in the upcoming training, and if you ever work with me or if you have in the past, are designed to help mind and body work together so that you become the clearest channel of this mind-body connection, so that this instrument is working as a whole. And that includes your mind. So I wonder if you notice, I'm seeing some of you in the chat. One of you is like, yes, the flow is so fleeting. It's maddening. Yeah, I totally feel you. And if you struggle with consistency, I mean, seriously, like how many of you in the chat struggle with consistency? Like, the sound is in you. You've experienced that awesome sound where just everything is just right there. And then it's gone. Maybe you were able to keep it for the whole performance. Maybe you weren't. Maybe it was just part of the performance. Maybe you were able to, feel it and hear it here and there. And the most frustrating thing about it is that you don't know what you're doing wrong. And so then you start to blame yourself. And now you have evidence that you're not good enough, which just feeds back into the stinking thinking, which makes you contract. It makes you want to force and push and prove, which then lives in your body, which then kicks you off all the good technique that you would otherwise understand. It kicks you off what your body was built to do. And same thing, if you're in that place of not good enough, can't do it, how am I ever going to figure this out? It can make other singers contract and pull away and flee and go into that place where you've seen that happen to singers where they just go into the bunker and like they're there, but they're not there. And now your connection with your audience is completely cut off. And without that, I mean, that's game over for any kind of singing career because you have one job as a singer. And that is to connect with your audience, to make an impact on your audience. And if your mind-body connection is broken, if your thoughts are sabotaging your instrument, your sound, your connection with your audience, there goes the career. That's it. Whether you're doing this professionally or not, whether you're somebody who, is out there auditioning and trying to make it, or somebody who you have this passion, this purpose, and you're doing it at a high level, even if it's not professional. There's nothing worse than feeling that dread because you don't have that consistency and you can't rely on your voice the way you need to when you just don't know what's going to come out. And all of this is a direct function of mind, body being broken by thoughts that are sabotaging your sound. So here's a perfect example of this. I had a singer she's an opera singer. So we work with all kinds of singers here, right? I work with opera singers, pop singers, Broadway singers, jazz singers, you name it. Okay. Singer-songwriters, any, you guys, you all think you're so different and you're all dealing with the same BS. Okay. So first of all, let's just put that aside. If you're not an opera singer and you're listening to this example, don't all of a sudden make yourself different. Oh, she's talking about an opera singer. It doesn't apply to me. Guess what that is? Stinking thinking. That'll get you every time, making yourself terminally unique. So we're not going to do that here. Okay. Anyway, I digress. So I was working with one of our singers, an opera singer. And for opera singers, there's different voice types. And she was what's called a coloratura soprano, super high voice type. I myself am a coloratura soprano. So I relate to her struggle, which I will explain when I was a young singer, which is as that kind of soprano, you have an easy time in the high part of your voice. Like your high notes, like I could live up there for days and days. And so could this singer. Her high notes were like easy and awesome. But middle voice is traditionally takes longer to develop in those kinds of high sopranos. And she was young. She was like 24, 25. And so we're working together and she's like putting all this pressure on the middle part of her voice and it's tiring her out. It's affecting the high notes because you can't take that kind of pressure up into the stratosphere. And why was she doing this? Because some teacher at some point in her earlier training had told her that she was never going to be able to do what we call the bread and butter repertoire. Each voice type has its bread and butter repertoire, the repertoire that are like, the people pay over and over to come see you do. She would never be able to do the bread and butter repertoire with that kind of weakness in her middle voice. Okay, so now she takes this belief and she keeps it for herself. She tucks it into some little heart armor right here that makes her feel unworthy, that makes her feel not good enough. And what does she do? Every time she's practicing middle voice, now she's over controlling. She's manipulating, she's pushing, she's forcing, and she is sabotaging all of the technique that actually would have given her much more richness, much more, whatever you want to call it, like oomph in her middle voice. And instead, she's being run by her stinking thinking. And now she's over controlling, over manipulating, doing all these things that make her sound great inside her head, but don't sound organic, good, authentic in any free or powerful way out here to us in the audience. And she's tiring herself out, and it's making her high voice more difficult. All because she bought into a belief that somebody else gave her that made her feel less than. And so now her body is responding to that and doing all of those things that actually make the middle voice sound worse, which now gives her even more evidence that she's not good enough because she's not getting cast for auditions. She's not winning competitions. Like, these are the things that, give opera singers their careers. She's not, because the sound has been affected by the thought that then caused her body to react to it, that created a sound that then is not what she wants, which gives her a bad result, which then makes her feel even more less than, which makes her manipulate and control more. And it's a negative feedback loop. It goes around and around and around, all because she bought into something that somebody said and created meaning out of it and belief around it about her and her ability to succeed or fail. And so the mind is a very powerful thing, guys. But the beautiful thing about the mind is, in the same way that humans are very good at creating their own suffering in the mind, we can also be very good at creating our own transformation. It wasn't that she couldn't do it. It wasn't that she didn't have it. It wasn't that she wasn't good enough. Whatever the BS teacher told her, you guys, there's so many bad voice teachers out there. Unfortunately, anyone can call themselves an expert. So be careful who you listen to, okay? It wasn't all of that. It was that she had chosen it and embodied it. And every time she went to sing, that weed in her mind garden, so weed, was overgrowing everything else, all the technique, all the belief, everything, and causing the bad sound that she was scared of making in the first place. And so when we learn, and one of the things I'm going to teach you in our workshop coming up starting next Monday, I'm going to teach you how to start to get present to what's going on up here in the moment of singing. Because it's being able to do that and witness that without drama, without making yourself bad because of it, without judging yourself because of it, but just to notice and just to see. When you learn how to do that, now all of a sudden you can shift your beliefs. You can shift. You guys, you can choose your thinking. Your first thought might be pure reaction, but you can always choose your second thought. And you do that enough, and then over a period of time, that becomes the first thought. So that your body is responding to the thoughts that serve it instead of the thoughts that sabotage it. So that's how your thoughts sabotage your sound, because you're engaging with things that cause a reaction in your body that don't serve physically or energetically. And if you think about it, sound is a form of energy, like light, like heat, right? And your job, if you're going to impact your audience, like I said, that's your number one job, is to make an impact on your audience as a singer. If you're going to do your job, you have to be the most open channel of energy and sound for that sound to be able to be transmitted and transferred and reach your audience unimpeded. So when your thoughts are causing you to contract energetically, physically, to force, to prove, to manipulate, or to become small, to play small, to flee, to not be all in, then how can you do your job? That's when you don't land auditions. That's when the gigs go to somebody else who does know how to do that. And you guys, there are performers out there who were born knowing how to do this. And good for them. Lucky them. And then there are those of you who need to be taught. But the beauty of this is that you can be taught, like really powerfully, and it works. So I'm just going to look in the chat here to see if you guys are asking questions. Let's see. Just making sure. And if you guys have questions about this, put it in the chat. I'm happy to answer for those of you who are live. And I see a lot of you want the workshop link, and we'll go in and we'll put that in. If you're watching on Facebook, it's in, I'm sorry, if you're watching on YouTube, it's actually in the video description. I'm just looking at this. Okay. Just making sure that there aren't any questions in here. If there are, make sure to put them in. And if I don't get to them live, I'll be sure to comment and get to them after. So guys, look, bottom line is this. It's not enough just to train your voice. It's just not enough, because your voice is just responding to your brain and the thoughts and your psychology. And any teacher who is not training that out is missing an opportunity, and you're missing a huge opportunity to be able to maximize the potential of your instrument. You know, I see one of you in here just put, thank you for the email on breath support, on breath control. Absolutely. And one of the biggest problems that singers have embodying their support is actually a mindset thing. Because if you're worried about running out of air, if you're fearful that you're not going to be heard, if you think it's your job to get the sound out, these are all thoughts, these are all beliefs, then your body is going to respond to those thoughts and beliefs, and it is going to do something in response to it. So if you think that you need to get the sound out, okay, what's your body going to do? It's going to do this. It's going to take all of your mechanism of support and it's going to push it in and push that sound out. But that ain't breath support. That ain't breath control. That's pushing. But if you're not present to the way you're talking to yourself and the thoughts that you have and the beliefs that you have, I could give you the best technique on support and you will continue to push. It won't matter. So that's why we're training you guys, if you're going to come to the workshop, and the singers who work with us in our programs, on integrating these things, mind and body, skill set and mindset. This has to be taught together if you're going to see results in your singing that happen quickly and that last. So, oh, I see a question in here. Do I think the impact of the audience comes first before connecting with the thoughts that serve us, or do we need to connect with ourselves and the audience impact comes secondary? Fantastic question. It's the latter. We have to be connected and present in the moment with ourselves, with our energy, with our instrument, with our body, with the story that we're telling. You know, it doesn't matter if you're not a Broadway singer or an opera singer. All songs are a story, every single one. So we're connected to that and we're in the present moment with that, rather than being in the spit of the mind that wants to go to the past and shame you about the past, the last performance you did, the audition that wasn't good, the high note that wasn't good, whatever, or is tripping out on the future of, oh my God, that high note's coming up, or am I going to win the audition, or what are they going to think of us? Oh my gosh, the reviewers are here reviewing this performance. What are they going to think of me, right? Mind is usually in the past, tripping out on the past or tripping out on the future. It's very rarely in the present. And that is what disconnects us from our own energy, from ourself, from the story we're telling, the emotion that we're, cultivating, so that can be transmitted to the audience. So it's a great question. It always starts with us first. Your job is not to try to impact the audience. Don't worry about them. Don't even think about it. You connect to you connect to the moment of your energy and your body, and all of our training is built on doing this. When you know how to do that, the audience will be impacted. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. And that's what I want for you guys. So great question. All right, guys, this has been a fantastic live. Again, if you're not registered for the workshop, do it. Put workshop in the chat and we'll be sure to DM you the link to register. And if you're watching on Facebook, it's in the video description for you. You can just grab it there. Workshop starts this coming Monday. Be there or be square. I'm going to see you guys then. Bye, everybody.